One Piece chapter 1103, it is titled, I'm So Sorry, Daddy. We're finally back in the current story, not saying that I'm upset or that the Kuma flashback was bad. It was a little bit long, but it was pretty good. I'm just glad that we're now back in the current story because we haven't seen the Straw Hats in like 2 months. We learned more about Saturn's relationship to Bonney, Ginny, and Kuma, the weakness of Bonnie's devil fruit, and the fact that Kuma now made it to Egghead and he is now going to attack Saturn. Really freaking good chapter. We won't get a new one for a while because this is supposed to drop sometime in 2024. However, we got these scans early, and not saying that I'm mad about it, but that's why we won't be getting another chapter for a long time. But if you guys enjoy regular reviews and breakdowns like these, make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out a new video. My name is Potential Unleashed, and let's start with this chapter 1103's breakdown. The chapter, it starts off with Bonney and Vegapunk. They are making up. We know that all throughout Egghead, she has been trying to or attempting to hurt Vegapunk, attempting to kill him just in case that he can't turn Kuma back. But now that she knows the truth, she is very sorry and apologetic towards Vegapunk since he didn't do anything to her father. Vegapunk gave her a sapphire necklace from Kuma for her 10th birthday. She is very happy about it. I love this added detail because of how she's always had the sapphire scale in a negative way, but now having this sapphire necklace, she can see it in a positive light. I also wonder if she'll, now that she knows the truth about Kuma, she doesn't necessarily need that jewel on her face anymore, and I wonder if she'll use the sapphire necklace as a method to put it on her now that she's sort of kind of reconnected to her father, because we know the reason why she had it on there is so that if they ever met, that Kuma would be able to notice it's her, and if she puts this necklace on there, she would still be considered jewelry Bonney. They talk about Luffy being related to Dragon and a friend of Kuma's, and how Vegapunk, he is going to link up with the Straw Hats. They're going to escape, and he is so sorry for everything that he's done. But Bonney, she isn't upset because she knows the true villain here is Saturn. We cut back to the present of the story. Bonney is still in Saturn's grasp. There's a lot of individuals that are rendered useless, unable to move, and I love the fact that Luffy, he's like, hey, I need food, somebody please give me food, and everybody's like, well, at least Atlas is like, well, I would, but I can't really move right now. But somebody ended up giving Luffy food. We see him eating, and a lot of people have speculated this is Kizaru because how he has a relationship with Vegapunk, Senamaru, Bonney, and Kuma, and how much that even though he really cares about them, that he's just following his orders. So maybe Kizaru, since he is the fastest character in this series, was able to give Luffy food without anybody noticing. Individuals around the world are reacting to the Egghead incident that's happening, at least what they can see from the newspaper. And Dragon and Venkov, they're having a conversation about, hey, if Kuma was able to access a little bit of his memories, where do you think he would go? And Venkov said, hey, he's going to Mary Joao potentially to get payback, but we know the type of person that Kuma is. And I mean, technically, he did have to pass by Mary Joao in order to head to the location that he's actually headed. But Venkov knows Kuma so well that even though he was a slave and mistreated, he still wouldn't go to Mary Joao in order to seek revenge. Whenever Bonnie's Nika's future was revealed in chapter 1101, a lot of people believed that it was broken. However, in this chapter, we found out what the weakness in her devil fruit is. First, I do want to mention that Bonney, she didn't actually eat the devil fruit. A lot of people were speculating once we saw that she was running around and that she had access to her powers. How did she actually ingest this fruit? When he was experimenting, Saturn, he did an extract infusion and gave it to her as a baby. If you look at it in like science-like terms, he extracted the chemical compounds of the fruit and infused it in her as a baby. Doing this, it was a success. However, the fruit, it lost its value. We know that when one individual eats, even if it's part of the fruit, if a second person eats it after them, they don't gain access to the devil fruit powers. They're just eating a nasty fruit. The reason why Saturn probably tried to do this is because he wanted, I guess you could say, maybe to, I don't want to say weaponize, but he wanted to get the maximum amount of people to use the fruit or have access to the powers, but unfortunately that did not work. Saturn explained that her fruit, it allows her to transform into a state that matches any future perceived to be possible. So that means that she can transform into a state that matches the future that she believes can happen. However, the possibility becomes more limited as your future becomes more certain and as she uncovers the truth. So the closer she gets to a set in stone future, the limited she is in using her fruit. To give a little bit more clarity, I'm going to give you guys an example of a future or a timeline where Sun God Nika did not exist. Since he's a legend, there are only a few things that you can know about him based off of what people say. So for example, Kuma talked about how he's somebody that fights with rubbery properties and he's not limited to what he can do based off of that. So that's why Bonney is able to use the Nika-like future. But the more research she would have done, since in that timeline he would not exist, she would be limited in what she can do. Meaning the only thing that she could do would probably be able to turn her body into rubber, and then at the point where she stopped believing in him, she wouldn't even be able to do that. Which is why earlier in the chapter, Saturn, he was grateful that she didn't notice that Luffy and Nika were linked, because she did know he existed and could see everything that he could do. Her powers would be even stronger. At this point in the chapter, the translations get a little bit confusing. As you guys know, you've seen my previous breakdowns. I try and use the Viz translation when it comes to translating stuff or doing my breakdowns, because that's the official translation, and I go to use Sandman on Twitter if they end up making an error. However, I had to use these scans because I would not be here when the official translations drop. But according to these scans, Saturn, he said that Ginny, she was brought to the Holy Land to be wife number 8. Now, whether this was the wife of Saturn, his 8th wife, or a random celestial dragon, we do not know. Like I said, we'll have to wait to see till the official Viz translations drop. But until that's cleared up, there is a possibility that Saturn could be Bonney's father. Also, the reason why Ginny apparently got the sapphire scales is because Saturn, he ended up doing drug testing on her, and then it became hereditary and passed on to Bonney. This means two things, because Kuma, he was running around ragged trying to find a cure for Bonney, and he gave up his free will for it. However, if you look back at chapter 1098, the only reason Ginny escaped was because of her getting sick. So without doing these experiments, Ginny and Bonney, they would have still been on marriage law since they would have been healthy, meaning that Kuma would never have seen Ginny before her death and buried her, and would not have become Bonney's father. So yes, Saturn is the reason why Kuma ended up losing his free will, but he's also the reason why Ginny and Bonney were able to reunite with Kuma. While all this was being explained, Kuma, he ended up landing at Egghead Island, and he is headed towards Bonney and Saturn. Bonney, she's struggling right now, and rightfully so. She's like, hey, I don't want to live, I want to give up life, and I'd be better off dead, which this is really sad because of all the sacrificing that we've seen Kuma have to do in order for her to survive. Heck, he's even fighting right now in order to save her. And then we got the most beautiful panel that, well, one of them that I've ever seen Oda draw, because Bonney, she is about to be killed, and then Kuma swoops in, he saves her, he protects her from getting stomped on by Saturn's foot, and then Kuma grabs his foot, and then he goes and tries and punches Saturn. I think this is really cool because of looking back at Sabayoti, how Luffy being Nika, he punched a celestial dragon, and Nika is Kuma's idol, and he's doing the same exact thing that his idol did in the past. How exactly did Kuma know Bonney was at Egghead, and why is he there? If Oda doesn't put anything to where Vegapunk implemented something or a mechanism for Kuma to gain access or have some form of trying to get to Bonney, I wouldn't be mad at that. I think that it's fine if you knock it down to he's a parent and he sensed that his daughter was in danger, because of how much Oda likes to showcase the parent-child relationship. And using Bonney as a trigger in order for him to act this way or some way get his memories back, I would definitely not be mad at that. I also wonder whenever Luffy gets back into the fight and he goes gear 5th, I wonder if that would trigger something also in Kuma's memories. I think we can all agree that Kuma probably isn't going to defeat Saturn because, well, we saw what Akainu did to him. He freaking knocked off half of his head and he is very wounded. He's battered, bruised, and so if Saturn is as strong as we think he is, he's definitely not going to be enough in the state that he's in, and I think him doing this will buy Luffy enough time to eat his food, regain his strength, and then we'll see the gear 5th Sun God Nika versus Saturn. Let me know how you guys feel about this chapter in the comment section below. Really good way to end the year, and I guess you could say start the year for those that are going to read it when it officially drops. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you guys never miss out on a new video. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. It's on the screen and in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to unleash your potential.